Local food isn't new, it's been around us all along. Listen to chefs, farmers, and like minded folks talk about what local food means or could mean to you. Right here with your host, Julie Cushine-Rigg, and Fresh on the Fly, where we got you covered when it comes to everything you ever wondered about local food. Listen in as guests also take a food question on the fly. Come on, let's get fresh.
Hello, I'm your host, Julie Cushine-Rigg, and this is Fresh on the Fly. Today on the program, we've got Nicci Cagan. Nicci is a private chef based in New York's Hudson Valley. She's also a shepherd, a painter, and fibre artist whose work is deeply rooted in the land and agricultural traditions of the area. Living and working in the fertile landscape of the Hudson Valley, Nicci is committed to strengthening regional food systems and fostering meaningful connections between food, fiber, and community. So let's take a listen and see what Nicci's up to. Welcome, Nicci.
Hi, I'm Nicci Cagan, and I'm really happy to be back in connection with Julie. And I'm a private chef now, and I'm a shepherd since the pandemic. I would say that I'm still quite passionate about my local agricultural roots in the Hudson Valley and in Wisconsin. So I am doing taste testings, working with families, and really looking forward to a pop-up at East Branch, which is Madeline Warren. And she does kimchi and does some really wonderful community events in Fleischmann's, actually. So collaborations, partnerships, farms, food. I don't think anything has changed.
Very
It's
good.
older.
That's awesome. So I want to ask you a little bit about how you originally got into fresh food and local produce, and also I remember that you were with the Rondout School District and the From the Ground Up. So I don't know if you want to wrap all that up into a little.
Sure. Let's see how speedy I can be about like 40 years of work or 60. I'm from Wisconsin, so my roots are in 4-H and agriculture, dairy farming, horses, 4-H, lambs, things like that. And I went on to Madison, to the University of Wisconsin, and quick, ended up in New York after art school. And so get me back on track. I'm here and I'm in local food.
This is it.
I think that moving to the Hudson Valley, when I found Roundout Valley Growers, when I found the Davenport family, when I found the Saunders Kill, I felt much more like I was at home and life had meaning. I mean, my first job was at Green Giant in the canning factories. That's what we did. We worked for Young Seed Company. We detasseled corn. In the canning company, we had a few small industrial town that I grew up in. And so moving here to the Hudson Valley, I see such opportunity and always have. And then I had children, and you can only really work from where you are. So having children, my life began about finding ways for them to have nourishing food and feel connected to the ground. That's where From the Ground Up came from. And it was, so that then became another group like 4-H. It became the PTA or the PTO. And I was one of those moms on the committees with many others. This is not a job for one person, farm to school, or even promoting local agriculture. It takes a community, it takes a village to eat local. It takes a commitment to your soil, your infrastructure. I'm passionate about it. I think it's in my blood, coming from an agricultural state. Wisconsin and New York always rivaled each other with top crops.
Yeah. I think I know some of them, but what are the main things that they?
Corn, cranberries, we're way up there in cheese. We all compete in cheese now. It's a very popular thing. Trying to think of what else we grow. I mean, and now, you have you have a lot of conventional growing in places. I mean, for me, I would like to see more and more small farms, small and medium farms. I think we have a chance in New York State and others as we move to, smaller, mid-sized community farms and farms where they're accessible to the people. So we can actually all be eating more local food. So it was the Davenports, it was Bruce Davenport who sort of They had started the Roundout Valley Growers. There was an opening for Farm to School. I had children. And that's how I took a deep dive into school food systems. Julie Holbrook up in the Adirondack, she's still working away. So many people are still really working at this. And now they're advisors and experts.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Are you still tied to the school district? Or
No, I visit Julie just my daughter just went to school in Alaska, and one of the people she requested to see before she left was Julie, because she was so in admiration of what she had been able to do by bringing local food into the school districts. And she's still doing that. So that's really exciting.
where do you think we stand, Nikki, on the farms and schools and collaboration in that respect, from where you kind of left off? Where were we like 10 years ago? And have they come as far as we thought they should? Or
Hmm. I don't know. I can't say I have the greatest pulse on that right now, but I know that a lot of schools in convenience, well, I should say it's as good as the parent association that's there pushing for their children's nutrition. But a lot of times convenience is taken, and scratch cooking. I think if people go back to look at what Julie can do, she's able to use local food to cut her numbers, to give nourishing food. It's always an uphill battle. I'm not going to say that it's not. You know
yeah,
why feeding our children shouldn't be the most important thing? I know that you remember when I started, our broccoli in the very beginning was coming from China, that was insecured. That was like 15, 18 years ago, when we have broccoli right down the block that grows on all the farms. So that, I mean, it's really a no-brainer, but it's challenging. Systems can be challenging.
yeah, I think so. And I went to one or two of the conferences, and I think one of the things that kept coming up was, where are you going to store this amount of food, this
Always.
bulk of food?
Right.
And you said your
That
husband
is,
was
that's it. Storage is always
just,
a big issue.
yeah,
Distribution, storage, fair market share, everything that the farmer deserves. Yeah, so I mean, that's my passion for the farmers, for the eaters,
yes.
people to cook.
Can you talk a little bit about, you said now you're more in with families and that,
Yeah,
you said you're
since
a
the
private chef
pandemic,
and
my life changed a lot during the pandemic. I had two children at home, and I was helping design a restaurant, and we were frontline, and they just said we're closed.
wow,
That was it, and I didn't know what to do. Somebody said start doing soup, and then somebody said, I'm trying to think of even how, I listed myself on care.com.
nice.
Yeah. And a family found me that had just moved up here, and they had left for the pandemic. And that was the first, and they were very helpful to me, connected me with their friends. And then all of a sudden, I was in a different world. This area had a large influx of people from the city. And
Yes, yeah.
for me, it's been a very good experience.
That's awesome. So, did any of the ethnicity of the family that came up, did any of that come through with working with them with food
I don't think that I have three families I work with now, and hopefully they don't mind that I'm talking about them. No, every person has just like if you go to a school to do a farm to school program, or you go to a family, you have to understand their needs, wants, desires, allergies, before you can do anything for them. So a lot of my work now is fresh, local, dietary, special needs sometimes, maybe replacements of things so you're still feeling like you're getting what you need. Young children, it's all different. So I like mixing everything up, though. I mean, I hope I bring a little more of what they're looking for up here.
Hmm. Absolutely. You do a lot of events, or and you have in the past. Have you done any more recently, or is it more with the doing the?
Well, I have to, so events, that's like shake my mind a little bit. The next thing that I have coming up is a fiber tour.
Ooh.
And so I'm doing a lot with Helena Shepko and another group of fiber artists to promote fiber in the Hudson Valley and farming.
Okay.
And so we're doing a tour, and you'll be able to go around to all the different sheep farms, and then it will end up at an orchard, and we'll have a band. And so that's the next event. And that I won't be doing food for that, but it is promoting the local farmers.
Tell me a little bit about the fiber arts and how you got into that.
Well, I mean, I think that, back in the 70s, I went to art school at Madison, and I've always liked textures and fibers. And my mom had a clothing store, and I got into silk painting. And so I was already in the sort of gallery world of fiber art
Hmm.
back in Wisconsin, but moving here after college, I was painting, but I think the fiber is just like magic. I can hardly handle not touching the wool. Um,
Yeah.
and so I guess when you touch something or someone or anything, whether it's food or fiber, there's that sensation that leads you to the next step. And sometimes it's just a little piece of wool in your pocket, and it has something to say.
I can really identify with this too because a couple of years ago I started crocheting.
Right.
And my neighbor down the road, she's got some goats down there. And she said, and this is, I'm only a couple of months into crocheting, and she said, I have a friend who takes the goat fur
Yeah.
and weaves
Well,
it and spins it into the yarn. Could you work with that? And I said, oh, it was silly me. Sure, yeah. And I got it, and it was so thin though. And I had only been crocheting for a
I
little.
know. Isn't that amazing? It's like a human being can make such a thin thread.
Yeah, and it was beautiful to work with, but it was delicate. But I got a hat for her out of it. I then turned around because we're living on a mountain, and you got to know your neighbors on a mountain. And here I turned around and I gave her a hat, and now of course, we exchanged eggs and all kinds
And
of
I think,
stuff.
yeah, that's the joy and the beauty of anything that is a traditional cultural way of living, is to share and exchange. I mean, my neighbor next door, that's where I get my eggs. Getting together with all of these people who have farms, they always have other things. They're making something, they're experimenting with something, they're learning something new.
Right, right. And Mackenzie, I'm gonna draw you in for a second here, and of course, being our executive producer, but she's in the 20 something, and I'd like to know some of your thoughts as you're listening to Nikki talk about food, or if you have any questions for her or anything.
I mean, no questions, but it just makes me realize because I'm living in an apartment right now. And it's just so funny when I was living in a house with my parents, we love our neighbors. We would talk to them all the time, give them a bunch of things, they would give us stuff. And now after moving into an apartment, it was like, do not talk to them. There's like no sense of neighborly love here. It's just like
Oh,
been very strange. So it's weird to like think about how that life used to be. And I'm like, do we start that again? And so I think that's just really, I kind of miss it, like it's just, where is that connection?
you could start something right at your apartment, maybe like
Yeah.
in the community, and be like, "Hey, I'm doing, Big ziti or something. Do a potluck or something." I
Right.
don't
I
know.
think it's always food brings everyone together, right? That's why we're here.
Yes, yes.
And I think that just start with two. I mean, I always thought I was going to live in intentional community. Now I'm a senior citizen, and I'm looking at, well, what should I do now? I could start a senior center. And then I realized that all my friends that were over, most of them were seniors too. So I already had my coffee clutch.
There you go.
So it is sort of going
Coffee.
back. It's right. It's just a little something, a
Mhm.
little way to connect, a little way to weave it together.
Right, right.
That's
And
awesome.
are you finding, Nikki, in the fiber arts that closeness too, that is in the same vein as the local food? What's that like?
I think it's all different. I think you have so many different levels to the like New York wool. We
Mhm.
have the fashion industry. That's part of it. As growers, you're ultimately trying to create something that's working with a university, that's working with students. It's big wool. So ask me the question again. What did you say? Do you remember?
The connection and the kind of look at the inner workings and the
Oh, of
community
the
base of
yeah.
food as it compares to the fiber arts.
Right. No, I think it's all the same, but it's all who you're associating with. I have a really great group of down to earth friends here that hold potlucks, that get together, that started the fiber tour. But I really do think it's about just getting together, as you sort of said, and just having a couple people over. Doesn't even have to be about the food because we know if it's fresh and it's local and it's on the fly, that it will taste good.
Yes. Yeah.
And that if you have topical discussions on top of that, that's what counts right now, just like we're talking.
Absolutely. So I want to bring you back to that whole fresh on the fly part. And if you want to take the three ingredient scenario or one of your own, what would you say to the average home cook?
Well, right now I have to say eggs.
Nice. That's it. They're very versatile.
Right. So, whether eggs, milk, and what, I feel very, we have to have some like something fresh that's coming out. It's still very root vegetable-y right now.
Mhm.
I guess if you add a cabbage, but you're only giving me three ingredients, I don't know
You
that.
can expand, you do what you want with that.
I just always think that anytime this time of year you can make a frittata and put
Oh,
anything in it. And it's just whatever's around and just bake those eggs, whip them up and put whatever you have and put it in the oven at a low temperature and let it just come to sort of a nice coagulated
ooh,
piece of deliciousness, and then have it with a salad or have it with you can still have root vegetables now. So we're really still into having some of the bok choy and the tot soy, chopping up, making a cabbage salad, getting some carrots and a lot of ginger. We still have ginger and turmeric around at a few places, and all of those warming things for moving into spring.
okay. And when I think frittata, and I'm not that well versed with, I think I made a frittata once, but how does that differ from like a quiche or an omelet?
No
Like,
crust.
oh, okay, there we go.
No crust. Often I find it to be softer. You're cooking it a little slower and it has more of a solid, to me, creamy texture.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to. Load it up with spinach. Put whatever you want on it. Keep it simple, but it's basically just whipping up those eggs and if you want to put some cheese in or whatever and put it in that pan and drop your other vegetables or leftovers on it and bake it. Bake it at 320 for till it looks like it's set.
Okay. Like it would be a quiche, like that how
Yeah,
that looks like when
yeah,
it's set on top. Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No crust, so it can be gluten free without a challenge.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And there's so many different things that, you think of now. Like you were saying, maybe special needs when you're cooking for somebody or family. What have you run into, gluten-free, vegan, special, what
No
interesting?
onions, no garlic, no basil, no, no, no. Which one do you want? Everybody has a different way. No eggplant, no nightshades,
Oh,
no
wow.
beans, no meat, no pork, no, no. So
Yeah.
you're always having to think in different ways. I think I have one client's no onions, so I find myself still looking for that texture. So I may not get the flavor, but I'll get a texture in there. So I'll use a celery or an anise or something like that that has that like crunch, but so you just find yourself moving around. I do use nutritional yeast for people who don't want to use cheese, you
Mhm.
mixed with some sort of creamy nut. And, you can make it happen.
Okay, cool. And I
People
want to
can,
go back to the more like small and medium-sized farms. Where you are is particularly in the Hudson Valley down there. You're surrounded by, rural areas and farms. Is that happening? Are some of the bigger farms selling off part of their land or something, or is it happening otherwise?
I mean, I think that passing on land is always a hard thing. I mean, we've been holding our farms in this region together in different ways, but that's always one of the biggest challenges because most of the farmers are my age in their 50s and 60s, and they can't carry on. And do their children want to work that hard? It's a hard life. It's not an easy life. And I think this is a forever question. We have families, we have generational farms. It would be one of the saddest things for those to disappear here in the Hudson Valley, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And do you think that if we get, so you were saying maybe more of the smaller and more of the medium-sized firms that maybe are more manageable? Is that
right? That we also give opportunity to some of the new and emerging farmers, and then of course you're looking at the big issue of how do they afford it? So these are all questions I think as a state we have to ask ourselves, as a county or as a community. I feel very grateful I'm in Stone Ridge and we have acquired some community lands. So we've kept some open spaces. And I mean, there's all kinds of different sides to this challenge of population and who gets to live where and where land is, but
yes.
Not going to get into all of that on the fly.
No. What I did want to ask you about too, and as I'm thinking about all this, we're not terribly far from Hudson, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And Hudson, New York, I understand, and I've spent some time actually. Mackenzie and I were walking around there in May when she visited, but there are a lot of, it seems like, new restaurants in Hudson. And I didn't know if you had a handle or you were able to take the temperature in Hudson at all for what that whole scene is about, and are they incorporating more of the Hudson Valley bounty?
I think that most of those restaurants, many do, because you have Hawthorne Valley Farm, you have some of the big farms up there, you have dairy and cheese, you have a lot in that region. That region has tremendous, including its orchards. But I do not have a pulse on the town.
Okay,
I should go up on a tour. I'm going to have to go on a food tour now.
We'll have to meet, yeah. Let's see what it's all about, because yeah, when we went through, it was in the middle of May or something, as I recall, Mackenzie. Like half the places were closed because I think they cater more to the summer foot traffic. I think, yeah. So, but yeah, I would be happy if you want to meet in Hudson. We can explore some of the food scene going on there.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. And maybe Mackenzie will come back out and visit. That would be awesome. So, Nick, is there anything you'd like to add, or any closing thoughts on the whole local food and/or fiber scene?
Well, I mean, I'm really excited that you're doing this. It's so cool that everybody is sort of looking at how we have aged, in a good way.
Yes.
And matured, because I think with anything that we continue to do, we learn from the past. And I'm excited about the food movement in this area. We're mature now, so let's see what we can do.
And hopefully that rings true beyond New York and the Hudson Valley. And, for listeners that are, outside of this area, and that's something I thought of too, is how can they, incorporate local, and hence the whole question.
Oh, well, I mean, I just went home. I just went back to Wisconsin and I found lots of cheesemakers and small startup farmers. And so I think it is happening all across the country.
I think so too. Yeah, what I'm hearing. So, Nicci, thank you so much for your time and the great conversation.
It's so nice to see you again, and thanks for connecting all the dots.